Hello and welcome back to the Welsh Premiership podcast and episode 27 today. The first one of our second year. Thanks for all the support for our first year of the podcast and to all the guests that have come on and joined us. And welcome to Chris Dicomidis, Pontypridd legend and international player as well. So nice to have you on, Chris. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Cheers, boys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so to begin with, just tell us a little bit about how you began playing rugby.
Basically, I was a bit of a destructive child. So I think at about 5 years old, my parents took me down to my local rugby club, which was Pontypridd RFC at the time. So I played, I think it was 3 years at under 8s for Pontypridd. Obviously played for them then up until under 13s. Under 13s. So obviously played for Gen Schools, West Wales and all that as well. Then left Pontypridd to go and play for, I know it's going to come to a shock a lot of Ponty fans, to play for Cardiff RFC. Basically, I was playing with a lot of the boys who were in the East District at the time and went down there. After a year, though, that team got disbanded and we all went on block end to Old Penarthians. So I played the Old Penarthians end until I was under 16. At that point, then, obviously, with Gen Schools, I was in the Bridgend Academy, then onto the Celtic Warriors Academy. I didn't really have a club at the time, just playing school rugby for Pontypridd Comp and the Warriors. And I had one season of youth then with Tom D before leaving school. As soon as I left school then, sort of signed with Ponty and with Uwick as well, so like a dual registration. Had a season with Uwick and then on to Ponty and obviously the story goes on from there.
Yeah, and obviously you signed to Ponty at a young age and you're still there now. How much does the club mean to you?
Oh, it means loads to me. I know it's quite cliche and a load of boys say, oh, the club means everything to me. But, you know, I've been there since I was only 18 years old. You know, Simon King took me up there straight from school. I had a chance to sign elsewhere as well at the time with the Warriors go in. But, you know, I got on a lot better with a lot of the Ponty boys, you know, a bit more fun, a bit more outgoing. I think I was the only boy actually my age in the Warriors Academy. So I was with all the Ponty boys and Simon King was up as well as my teacher, someone I trusted. And I decided to go up there. But, you know, I've been up there, nearly 17 years now. So, yeah, it means loads to me. Not just to me as well, my family, you know, my boy now loves coming up every Saturday and Tuesdays when we got training and getting involved. And, you know, the boys up there are brilliant with him as well.
And obviously playing for Pontypridd, they've been pretty successful in recent years. Obviously before you went on to play for the Blues and after as well. Is there any like special moments that stand out from your time with Ponty? I imagine there's quite a lot.
God, it's a good few games. Majority of the games, they come in the British and Irish Cup. Obviously, we were doing well in the Premiership and, you know, winning the Premiership year in, year out and winning the Cup as well. Obviously, we lost across skis, but then we won it the year after. But, you know, playing against British and Irish Cup and we're playing against fully pro teams, whereas we were just semi-pro, you know, just Valley boys, apart from me and a couple of others, you know, just going up there and trying our best. You know, we went up places like Doncaster. I remember they were battering us in the first half and they were absolutely massive. They were monsters. We had a bit of a rollicking off Chief for half time and then we come out and we beat them. Beat Leinster at Sardis as well. When we drew as well in the semi-final, I think it went to extra time as well and we drew, but they went through on try count again against Leinster. And then, you know, Premiership games and Premiership playoff finals against Llanelli. I think it was, we lost the first ever one to them. And then we beat them and the year after it was hammering down with rain. And then the year after we absolutely demolished them. I think it was like 45-12, something like that. And that was probably the best game of rugby. You know, when everything just goes right through the bounce of the ball, we scored some great tries. Everything just went for us that night. And that was probably the most complete game of rugby I'm involved in Ponty, that Premiership final.
And obviously you've been involved in some really successful Ponty teams. So who are the best players you've played alongside in the Prem?
Oh, there's a good few. I think Geraint Lewis, remember the old Welsh flanker, the number 8? He had a couple of seasons with us when he was just finishing off. He come back to play for us. And I've never met a player who can pass so accurately off both hands and kick as well so accurately off both feet. He was unbelievable. I think he could have played, you know, in the centre. He could have played outside half. Just lacked a bit of gas. So he was quality. Sweeney, when he come back from Exeter to us, just someone to have around and the youngsters to learn off. Obviously, Lockers, overall, probably say Lockers is the best player I've ever played with, not just for what he brings on the pitch, but for what he brings off the pitch as well. He's a bit loose, but keeps morale high within the team, and he's just an all-round great boy. You've got Shelley in as well. Me, Shelley, Locks. We played nearly 15 years together at Ponty, and then boys who've gone on then Gav Dacey, quality, Simon Humberston. I could name Adam Thomas, Tubbsy, Craig Locke. Oh Christ, I could name loads of boys. Obviously the boys then have gone on for Blues. Jared Evans, I think he only played a couple of games for us, but he just tore up. I think I remember his debut was down in Carmarthen Quins. He wasn't meant to play, and Di Flan got pulled out, and he come on. He just absolutely, his first game, I think he just turned 18, and he just absolutely, he tore up. And so games like that as well, the kids that are coming through were great as well. I think I'm trying to think now. Chief as well, I got to mention him as well, haven't I? A couple of games with him in the second row when I was just starting off. Wayne O'Connor. There's loads, the list is endless. We've been very lucky to play with a number, but I'd probably say overall, for everything, I'd probably say Locks, Dav Lock, yeah.
Is there anybody that you look forward most to coming up against in the Prem?
Team-wise or player-wise?
Player-wise, or both.
Team-wise, obviously, always love playing against Cardiff. It was a massive crowd around Boxing Day, and then near the end of the season as well. It's always great to go down here and play them and take our crowd down. And then at Sardis as well, it's brilliant. Especially the Boxing Day games used to be absolutely immense. Merthyr more recently as well, obviously that was the last game we played up until we got struck with COVID. So that was a great win up there. What are the teams like playing against? Aberafon. I enjoy playing against Aberafon. Really enjoy playing against Aberafon. Score a load of tries against Aberafon as well. I don't know why. And the food after the game in Aberafon is the best in the Premiership as well. So
what do they provide?
You get a 3-course down in Aberafon. It's mad. You get a bit of soup to start off with. Then you have a main, and there's some ice cream or some dessert there as well. And the women down here are immense. Aberafon, I got most respect for. I think it's a great club, and everything they're putting out on Twitter and social media at the moment, I think is fantastic. But player-wise, I know that I enjoy playing against. Sweetie, when he was at Abervale, just enjoyed some good battles with him. Hayden Pugh down at Quins. Going back then, you've got people like, when Neath were absolutely flying, like Garth Gravel and Kingy, Kipper, people like that. Always love playing against Bridgend as well. Obviously, it's my hometown, and like to try and get one up on them. Be very lucky recently. They've been ahead for most of the games. We just scraped back. Yeah, but I enjoy playing there. Obviously, and then boys you have played with as well have gone on to play for Merthyr or Cardiff or Aberafon. It was nice to try and get one up on them. I'll tell you what, there's a cat that I would play against. Ed Siggery, Carmarthen Quins. He's another loose goose. He loves the chops on the pitch. He's always got something funny to say or something funny to do when you're at the bottom of a ruck or something. Yeah, so enjoy playing against him as well.
Yeah, and having experienced the Premiership as a youngster and now obviously still playing in there, what do you think the purpose is? Do you think it is to help develop, or is it all about winning trophies?
I think I've a bit of both. I think obviously, yes, it is about development and push the youngsters, getting them some game time within the Premiership, and then pushing on to hopefully having great regional careers and pushing on for international honours. But I think you do need the older generation, so to speak, who are there to help them along the way. Don't think you can have just 15 kids on the field when you're playing against, when you go to like Abervale or Llandudno away or something like that. You'll just get bullied and you'll get battered. So I do think, yes, it is a development tool, but I also think as well, teams like us, well, every team in the league wants to win the league, doesn't it, at the end of the day. So yeah, I think it can be used for both. I think that's really lucky in Ponty. You sort of had that balance over the last, 10 years, or maybe 10, 12 years, where we've got a good spine. The team sort of stay the same. And, the youngsters are coming like Jared, Dylan, Belcher, Corey Dom, Christ, loads of boys have gone on to play for the Blues, and Corey Hill, obviously now, and they've gone on to, play regional rugby and on for Wales, which ultimately that's what we want them all to do.
And you made the step up to regional level, playing for the Blues. What was that like?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously played 3 seasons up there. Enjoyed the first 2 seasons. Played quite a bit of rugby. Obviously going out to play, I think 1 week I was playing Carmarthen Quins for Ponty. I'd signed then for the Blues, and next Friday I was playing Glasgow in the Heineken Cup, my first ever game of regional rugby. It was a bit mental going up against like Stuart Hogg, Ali Kellock, proven internationals. Obviously took a bit of time for me to get used to it, the physicality and everything else. Not so much the physicality, the speed of it. So and everyone just does their own job. So it's not easier to play in the Premiership, but because everyone knows what they're doing and their roles and everyone does their job, then it just makes a faster game. And then obviously I got to start out in Toulon as well. It's playing against people like Johnny Wilkinson, who was like a hero of mine growing up, but get playing against him, Matt Gitto. And obviously get to play with players like, Gethin Jenkins, Matthew Rees, Jared Huerta, Sam Warburton, loads of British Lions and All Blacks and everything else. So yeah, I really enjoyed my time the first 2 years. Third year was a bit disappointing, didn't really get any game time. So I was, back and forth, training with the Blues, then playing for Ponty. So, but yeah, different coaches, like different ones, man's trash and the man's treasure. So, I should take that on the chin and, just crack on.
And obviously, you signed for Blues off the back of your performances in the Prem for Ponty. And you've gone through some of the players that obviously played for Ponty and then have gone on to represent the Blues. How important, is Ponty to keep the Cardiff Blues brand alive? Obviously, they're going back to Cardiff Rugby now for next season. Do you think that has the possibility to sort of outcast some of the Valleys supporters and the Valleys boys?
Listen, you're going to get people who will follow Cardiff, and you're going to get Valley people who are dead against. I can't tell them or dictate to people what to do. The natural progression from anyone from the Valleys is to Ponty schools or on the schools, and then you're in the Cardiff Blues, Cardiff Rugby system. Then, so if they want to play professional rugby, then that's the route that they've got to go, unless they go off the Ospreys or Scarlets or wherever they go to college or whatever. But so, like I said, I think people already feel alienated by the region, but I think the region have tried their best, to get the Valleys involved and everything else. Like how it's going to go now with Cardiff Rugby, and I don't know what the Cardiff RFC are going to be called now, the Rags or whatever, and what boys they're going to have and everything else. That's not really my concern. But as far as a Ponty, we pride ourselves on getting them boys up and playing for the Blues and pushing on for international honours. So that's the system that we got in place at the moment, and just got to back it, and hopefully these boys definitely progress and go on to bigger things.
Yeah, and obviously there's a few boys that were playing at Ponty last season. I know Johan Evans has sort of become a big part of the team despite only being a youngster. He looks a good talent as well. Obviously Morgan Richards as well was with you last season. How good is it to see those boys pushing on? And
yeah, it's great. Me and Joe's had shoulder ops about a week apart. So we done our rehab together. I was 34 and he was 18. He was out training with my kid or something like that. Doing the running and everything else, and getting our shoulders back. So you see him kick on. He's what he is as well. He's a great kid. He's a very, very good rugby player, but he's a good kid. He's Ponty through and through. But obviously he's in the Blues. I think he's been picked up again now by the Blues Academy after being discarded. I don't know what's happened there, but yeah. He is a good kid. And Moggs as well is another great kid who come to us. I think he's in the Dragons Academy, and he's wanted to play for Ponty. And these kids coming through, Mason Grady as well.
Yeah,
he's quality. Yeah, they're good kids, but ultimately they bought into what Ponty is about as well. Like Mason's a Cardiff boy or Barry boy, or through and through. But he had an opportunity to come play for us. He took it with both hands. He played really well for us, and he's only going to develop playing outside people like lockers, and then with Webber and Stuckey and boys like that outside him as well, and encouraging him. Plus, then obviously the coaches we got up there as well. Justin, he knows the score and the systems and everything else. So yeah, and watch his space. I think there's a few more good youngsters coming through as well that will push on, play for Wales under 20s, and get regional recognition, and whatever happens from there, then whether they can play for us or whether they got to play for Cardiff now because of this whole Cardiff RFC rugby bubble or whatever. But we can only hope they come back and play for us.
Yeah, and in the latest season we had before COVID, I think Ponty finished 5th. What was sort of the mood around the camp? Was it a bit of disappointment?
Yeah, it was really. Obviously, I only played 6 or so games because I was coming back from a shoulder injury. Just getting back into some form, and then obviously COVID hit. But just inconsistent really. Do you know what I mean? I think battered Merthyr at Sardis, and then the week after you go and lose to someone you'd expect to win. So obviously a lot of youngsters come through as well, so just getting that balance and the consistency really. But obviously you're only as good as the last game we played, and the last game we played was Merthyr away, where we come away with a win. So listen, we were confident, we were ready to rock and roll into the next game. I can't even remember who the next game was. It was really, 15 months ago. But we were just gagging out to get back into training and get back out on the pitch.
And obviously looking ahead to next season now, you've got the Premiership Cup, which is rumoured to start in August and run until December, then the Premiership season in January onwards. What are the club's aims for next season?
To be honest, we haven't, since start March the 7th, I think we haven't been in for any sessions. There's obviously been WhatsApps back and forth. I think there's still some uncertainty over when we're starting. Everyone said, we've got to have at least 6 weeks of a pre-season before we play any games or anything like that. So I don't know if this Premiership Cup is actually going to start in August. If we've got to have 6 weeks, I think it's going to probably be pushed back to around September time. Hopefully then, by then, everything will be opened up. The fans can come back as well, because obviously they're missing it just as much as we're missing it. Obviously it's routine for some of the guys down here. Just get up Saturday morning, go for breakfast, and then make their way to Sardis. It's the same for us players as well. Get up, take my son to football, get home, drop him off, and then straight to Sardis. But yeah, obviously nobody knows yet today with the dates and everything. As soon as we've got a date, then we can get back into training, we can get a focus, and try and push on to win leagues, cups, whatever we're put into.
And I just wanted to go back a little bit then, back to sort of when you were breaking through, and obviously you mentioned you had the chance to represent Wales at, I think, under 19s and under 21s level. How much did it mean for you to be able to represent Wales, and do you have some good memories from those times?
Yeah, it was massive. I think I got 18. I had trials for Wales under 19s. At that time, I was a centre fullback. So I didn't get in then as a centre. I was up against Lockers, Tom Riley, Tom Cheeseman, some quality players, Di Watts. I didn't get in. Andrew Bishop didn't get in. And it was at that point then that Justin Burnell, who was head of the Warriors Academy, pulled me and said, look, how would you fancy having to go in the forward? Start off in the back row and see how it goes. So I was like, I spoke to Simon King in his school as well. He said, what have you got to lose? So yeah, I had a couple of games then as a number 8 for the school. Lucky enough, the FIRA coaches or Wales and 90 coaches were watching. After a couple of games then, I was drafted into the squad. So and then I got my cap there, and I think it was against Scotland, at under 19s as a second row. So, within the space of 2 months, I've gone from being a centre, full back, to a second row playing in international. So, it was massive for me and for my family. I also had rejections as well after Bridgend schools and everything else. But, just kept grinding away, learned a lot from, just watching rugby, back row play. Obviously, growing up, all my heroes were backs. I never really watched the forwards, so it was a bit different for me sitting down with Justin every Monday. I remember we used to drive up to Treforest every Monday to watch videotape like people like Lawrence Dallaglio and Joe Worsley, and just trying to pick up different things from them. But yeah, so 19s then, and then the 21s then went to the World Cup in France. I think it was the last ever under 21s World Cup, which was pretty special. yeah, some good times out there. I think we only won one game. We only beat Georgia. I think we lost 4 games out there. But yeah, you know, it was different. Obviously, you get the international stage. You know, you're like a professional rugby player out there. Then obviously playing against some quality teams as well. Playing against England, I think like Haskell, Danny Kay, everything else, and then the final. I think it was France and South Africa. Remember Lionel Boxis, the 10? He like dropped a goal from halfway in where did we play? Clermont.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was quality. And then yeah, so you know, obviously a few of the boys in Locks, Rylers, Dave Flan, Dav Hewitt, you know, boys who I've grown up with. Obviously getting to play with them as well in international level. And yeah, it was proud moments, not just for me, but for my family as well, and all sacrifices they've made over the years as well. So yeah, it was quality.
Yeah, and you had international experience at senior level as well with Cyprus. What experience was that like?
Yeah, it was good. It was different, completely different to what. So I went out there with an open mind, didn't really know what to expect. I spoke to Chief before I went out there. Said, look, I've been approached to play for Cyprus over Twitter. Some guys obviously seen my name, seen I play for Ponty and everything. So I've had a tweet off, you know, how do you fancy coming out to represent Cyprus? You know, what's the connections? I say, look, my grandfather's from Cyprus. They checked my eligibility and I said, look, you are eligible. So I went to Chief and said, look, I got a possibility here to go and play for Cyprus. He's like, you know, bro, what have you got to lose? And all that. Like, so like, you know, at this time, obviously, I was playing for Ponty, I was working, you know, I never thought to kick on and play regional rugby. So yeah, I went out there, a lot of the boys, like me really, just play local rugby for their teams and fly out then for games. A couple of the players are on island players, but majority, you know, whose grandfathers or grandmothers are Cypriot and everything else. And yeah, just went out there. Great bunch of boys. I can't remember my first game. I think it was Luxembourg or someone random. Like, that was my first game. I was knackered after because it was boiling hot. Paphos was boiling hot, and every time I got the ball, it seemed to make a break as well. So I was looking for offloads and everything else. And then I think I played against Greece, which was billed as like the local derby, Cyprus against Greece, and they had a load of Australians playing for them. We had a couple of South African Cypriots playing for us as well, and we absolutely battered them in Paphos as well, which was good. Yeah, so every time I played for them, it's been, you know, a real good experience, eye-opening. You know, like the training facilities and the stadium there is real nice. But I think we played Andorra. We trained in Barcelona, and well, where we trained, it was like, I know Pencoy Cabbage Patch. For 100 times worse than that. Just dry patch, not being a bloody prima donna. I said, look, there's no way I'm training on that. I twist my ankles and everything else. We can't train on that. Like, and then we busted then from Barcelona to Andorra. Played there and it was absolutely Baltic as well because obviously it's a ski resort, and then busted back. But yeah, they're a great, real good group of boys, and you know, if called upon, it definitely go out there again to play a bit of rugby in the sun.
What's the standard of rugby like at that level then compared to the Premiership? Is it comparable or?
Probably not as high as the Premiership. I'd say it's probably more. I don't really know, because Championship, I'd say, probably. Not being disrespectful to Cyprus or Championship, but yeah, you got lots of boys there literally playing local National 2 West London or something like that. But you know, they got some Cypriot heritage, so they go out and represent their country. But you know, when they put that jersey on, a lot of them, there's some boys there who could definitely, you know, come up and play in the Premiership. Or I think some of the boys, I know one of the boys, Marcus Holden, is playing up in Scotland for Stirling County or something like that, maybe. A couple of boys who were playing in like National 1, National 2 as well. So yeah, obviously I can't really compare standings. I don't know I think Ponty, we would beat them Ponty, but yeah, standard is pretty good. It's all right.
Do you think the difference in teams is a lot bigger at that level as well? Like, is there a lot of, like, you have a lot of big wins and a lot of big defeats, or?
In the international now?
Yeah.
I think it all depends as well on what boys you can get. It's not like Wales. When Wales, obviously, internationals, everything's paid for, hotels, flights, kit, everything is there, everything's done for you in it. With Cyprus, you've got to find your own flights, but you get reimbursed. Then when you get to the airport, then you get picked up by a team manager. Obviously, you are put up in a hotel and everything else, but you don't know what boys you're going to have from one game to the next. With Wales, you get settled squads and everything else, and probably with the bigger international teams who got the money, they can call upon different players. So, the Cyprus team probably changes from, they probably aren't put out the same 15, from one game to the next. So, sometimes I think they went on a run of winning 32 games in a row or something. And obviously they're beating everyone. And then you come up against someone then who's got a bit of money and who can pull the same 15. And it is tougher then. But yeah, to be fair to them, they always get stuck in and they always, like to play rugby the right way as well, chuck a ball around. And the crowd, when you go out to Paphos as well, is quite wild as well. Like, it's quite, it's like being a sadist actually in Cyprus. So, but yeah, it's good. It's good.
And sorry, I'll go.
Go on.
How has COVID affected you, and did you have much time off work or?
Yeah, obviously being work for the WIU hub officer and there, which is a secondary school in Bridgend. Obviously, as soon as the lockdown happened, I was locked down, so I was working from home. Obviously, homeschooling my 2 kids as well, which was a lot tougher than being in school with 1,500 11 to 18-year-olds. But yeah, it's been tough, and obviously getting the motivation. Obviously, we didn't know when it was going to end, when we're going to be back training. So many questions, unanswered. All I've known is rugby really from 5 years old. So yeah, it's really tough. Just trying to keep myself active as I could, going for runs around Bridgend, my wife, my sister, taking my boy out for runs. Obviously, you don't get 2 minutes peace with him anyway. There's football, there's rugby. Just been out the back garden with the ball. Obviously, my daughter there wants me to do TikToks and everything else with her. So, yeah, it's been tough. It has been tough. I'm not gonna lie, it's been tough. But hopefully, we're coming out the other end of it, and we can get back to some sort of normality soon, and back on our rugby pitch.
Were Pontypridd were giving you some stuff to do, or some Zoom socials or whatever?
To be honest with you, we didn't have no real Zoom socials. Obviously, a few of us senior boys obviously keep in touch, and team manager put stuff into the group every now and again, some gym regimes and some running stuff and all that. But to be honest with you, I just like to go off and do my my own thing. Things that have worked for me over time. Some of the running sessions they put in, flipping out, I thought I was going to run a marathon after coming out of this COVID, but. Yeah, I just like to do my own thing. Pick stuff off Instagram as well. I know a lot of people are posting what they're doing. I think, I'll go down the field and have a crack at that, copy that. Craig Evans, the referee.
Yeah.
People slow just off on Instagram, some real tough, good sessions, and yeah, have a crack at them. Obviously, I don't post my times and all that because they don't compare to what some of these boys are doing. Obviously, we had the 5K challenge as well. Everyone seemed to be doing, don't they? But yeah, so as for training, they haven't really put much on it. Some of the boys have probably gone off and done it, but yeah, I just have to try and do my own thing, really.
Yeah, and it must be a good 15, 16 months since you last played rugby. So what are you missing most about it?
Miss playing. I miss that, that buzz you get on a Saturday. Just getting your bag ready before you go, having that pre-match meal. It's the same thing every week. And then run out on a pitch. I also miss as well. This sounds a bit thing. Looking up in the stand and my family there watching, things like that. You're around your mates as well. Miss the boys, just being, Lockers and Sherry just ripping each other, and the boys taking the mick out of Webbers, fake tan and everything else, and why ain't he training on a Tuesday? He's wrapped in cotton wool and everything else. Just the little things like that. I haven't missed training that much, to be honest with you, on Tuesday and the Thursday. At an age now where, to be fair, the party do look after me. Just everything really. Just being on the pitch and being with the boys.
Yeah, and to finish, we got a teammates quiz for you.
Okay.
So first of all, who's the worst dressed teammate?
Ever?
Whoever you've played with.
Probably for Ponty, it would have to be Hugh Dowden, the hooker. He had a horrendous stress sense. one of the richest men I know. He's a assistant head somewhere in Mountain Ash or deputy head or something, but his dress sense was horrendous on some occasions. And, Chief would get into him, Paul John would get into him. So his dress sense was horrendous. And then probably down at Blues and Macaulay Cook. He thought he was a bit of a spice boy, but his dress sense, again, was horrendous. Who else? Coaching-wise. Coaching-wise probably be Rob Sidoli. He loved the trainers and jeans combo, but like a pair of running trainers and jeans. And also you got, it's probably, definitely Dowden. He's definitely up there.
And who's the best drinker you've seen?
Best drinker? Oh, God. Locks probably thinks he's the best drinker. He'll tell you he's the undisputed king of the Cunnan Valley, wherever he's from. Best drinker, without shadow of doubt, has got to be Chief Dale McIntosh. Absolutely unbelievable. You think you're doing him, you think, I got him, but I think I put him to bed. You little do you know he's in another 2 rounds as well. So he's having in-betweenies and you're just struggling to keep up with the 1 point. Yeah, so, he's a good drinker. I think, who else? Yeah, probably just Chief, really, yeah.
And who's your favourite changing room DJ?
Favourite changing room DJ? Webber's not bad. Alex Webber wasn't bad. A bit of a mix. You got Shelley, Locks, who like go their dance, trance crap. I'm more of like an R&B, hip hop kind of guy. But Jake Thomas actually used to play flanker for us and for Merthyr. He was real good DJ. Had a good mix of some Kanye West and Jay-Z and things like that. Stuff I was into, and then all the other boys then would start moaning and the dance stuff would come on. But Timmy as well, his brother Adam Thomas, real good with music. Tubbs is good as well, Craig Locke. Yeah, but overall I'd probably have to go Jakey, I think.
And who's the biggest liability you've seen on a night out?
David Lockyer.
Do you want to think about it?
Locks is a liability. Who else is a liability? Darren Waters. When you play for us from the Dragons, Locks is up there. Christ, who else? Ryan Harford, ex-prop. He's a bit like Wayne O'Connor as well. He's just nuts. And you got some. With Pod, you got a great mix of boys. Like, do you know what I mean? You got some boys who are bloody teachers. You get boys then who, they don't know their head from their elbow type thing. So there's a great mix of boys, but everyone just cracks on. Lee Evans, Dak, who used to play for Neath, he's a great boy to go on the smash with. Gav Dacey again, his class. Simon Humberston, he's a good boy. Obviously, English, we used to call him. Obviously, he was the only English player playing for us. He was good, but biggest liability. But he is funny with it. He's not a nasty liability. He's just he's hilarious. He's got to be Lockers, I think. Yeah.
And if you stuck on a desert island, who's the teammate you'd most like to be with and the one you'd least like to be with?
Most like to be with? Most like to be with us, probably going to look a bit thing. Because our team manager, Dan Godfrey, whenever we used to go away, he was always my roommate when we were on British Irish Cups. And like he's always neat and tidy and always be in bed first. So that was a problem. But yeah, what am I being stuck in? He's quite organised as well. I hate disorganisation. I hate people who are late and things like that. And God's is always on time and everything else. So yeah, what am I being stuck on him? I think, and he moans as well. He's one of the biggest moaners I've ever met, which makes me laugh. Worst teammate. Probably worst teammate. Oh God. Trying to think now. Ex-teammate as well. Can I use ex-teammates? Yeah. Probably Ed Sigary. I think he would just absolutely do my head, and I think I'd end up jumping in the sea and trying to swim back to wherever I'd come from after about. He'd be good. manually, like, I think he's good at bloody chasing pigs and everything else, and he'd be good for that, for food. He would be a laugh for a while, but after the day or two, I think he'd absolutely fry me, so I'd end up trying to swim back to where I come from, or get him trying to flag down a boat or something. Yeah, so probably go Gods for teammate, and then Sigs in for worst teammate.
All right, that's all for this week's episode then. Cheers for coming on, Chris.
No problem. Thanks for having me, boys.
Thanks for watching, and remember to check us out on our social medias at Welsh Prem Pod. Thank you and goodbye.